All right, so I know I'm late to the party, but oh boy, was Super Bowl Sunday so great. I love Matt Stafford, and I love that he finally got his ring. He finally got out of Detroit, and he went out and did great things and was great. And as a Colts fan, it's even more frustrating to watch because that's someone we should have went out and got. And now we're stuck. And then we ended up with Carson Wentz. And the other biggest news of the Super Bowl, if you like Matt Stafford and you're a Colts fan, is that the news broke Carson Wentz is gone from Indianapolis by March 18th. It's incredible news. Big news. Huge news. um, and even if this is a rumor, the Colts aren't refuting a single article. The Colts aren't refuting any of this. And that's very telling because if Carson Wentz was going to start next season, they would be out there being like, no, Carson Wentz is our guy. We're not getting rid of Carson Wentz. They are still not backing Carson Wentz. So that is very telling of this article. To have Frank Reich, who's a huge Carson Wentz fanboy, at the end of the season, the end of season press conference, not back Carson Wentz like at all, who the previous year backed Phillip Rivers coming back, which I would have loved to see Phillip Rivers come back. I love Phillip Rivers. But he got out there completely uncommittal to Carson Wentz. Chris Ballard gets out there, doesn't commit to Carson Wentz, actually just talks about how mad he is at Carson Wentz. And from what I've heard is Jim Irsay has never liked Carson Wentz, even pre-trade. And Jim Irsay isn't an owner who meddles. That's one of the reasons why he let the Carson Wentz trade goes through, is he trusted Chris Ballard, and Chris Ballard got absolutely convinced and promised the world from Frank Reich that Carson Wentz would come back and be an MVP. And I knew we weren't making the playoffs as soon as we made the trade. I saw the Carson Wentz trade. I was like, dude, we're boned. We're not making the playoffs. We probably are going to be third place in the division. And if the Texans were competent, we would have been third place in the division. Because you just go back, you break down Carson Wentz's film from this year. He had a couple of good games. He played good against the Ravens. The Ravens game wasn't his fault, as I just got done watching that film. But then you go back and you watch other films, especially if you've seen the Kurt Warner video, then you know how awful Carson Wentz is. He's so inconsistent. He's so bad. It's like he has bad mechanics. He freaks out at the first sign of pressure, right? And so he has bad mechanics. He freaks out in the pocket when pressure's coming. He can't read a defense. He can't diagnose a blitz. As soon as he thinks pressure's coming, he's out of the pocket. And then that's one reason why the offensive line looks worse than it is. They don't know where Carson Wentz is during the play because dude is just gone. When this comes to Carson Wentz, it ain't fight or flight. It's just flight. He just takes flight. He's just gone, and then he tries to throw a 60-yard pass in the triple coverage. Wow, what a good quarterback. He has a refusal to take checkdowns, and his mechanics are just so bad. And it shows just how uncoachable Carson Wentz has become, because everyone thought, Frank Reich would be able to take Wentz and refine his mechanics back to where he was in 2017, which, let's all be real, 2017 was just an absolute fluke of a season. The biggest fluke ever. in the MVP voting. That dude has been nothing but exposed for being bad since. And so you break down his mechanics. His footwork is bad. His release is so slow. It's such a slow release. He constantly hitches in the pocket, giving the defense and pass rush more time to get to him and recover up those receivers that got separation. And I'm absolutely elated that Carson Wentz is gone. And with the Colts not refuting the Carson Wentz rumors, and the Colts not committing to him in the postseason press conference, you can't bring this dude back. We all know how fragile of a mind Carson Wentz has, and how fragile of an ego Carson Wentz has, from Nick Foles winning the Super Bowl, and then the Eagles drafting Jalen Hurts when he said, why'd you guys draft a quarterback? I'm Carson Wentz. I was third in MVP voting in 2017. Trade me. I don't want to be on this team if you guys are drafting me backups. And so the dude's not coming back. There's no way to repair this situation as with him. He's gone. And I'm so happy for it. Absolutely so happy. Now, the potential replacements for Carson Wentz, that's where it starts getting a little iffy. There's a lot of dudes in the draft. A lot of guys, everyone, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, all the draft analysts are out here saying how weak of a quarterback class this is. I think this is actually a pretty decent quarterback class, personally. It's like Desmond Ridder does whatever Carson Wentz does, but better. He actually takes checkdowns. Desmond Ridder has good mechanics. He has a decent arm. He's way faster and more athletic than Carson Wentz. Like, if I'm comping Desmond Ridder, it's actually 2017 MVP Carson Wentz, which, I know Colts fans don't want to hear, oh, Carson Wentz comp. No, like Desmond Ridder's actually decent. I mean, I know he looked terrible against Alabama. He looked absolutely awful against Alabama, but when you break him down and what he did in the Senior Bowl, this dude would work in the offense. He could really work in a West Coast style, check down, touchdown. He could get you there. My favorite quarterback of the draft is Brock Purdy. The dude his mechanics are out of this world. His mechanics are absolutely immaculate. He has good speed. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. He has a really average arm, which is really his only not, because the dude's accurate. He's speedy, great mechanics, quick release. Brock Purdy's really nice. Carson Strong is someone else who I really like. Classic pocket passer, good release, good mechanics. Not as good as Brock Purdy's mechanics, but he's still got good mechanics, and he works through progressions really well. Really well. And then, there's always Sam Ehlinger, Sam Ehlinger's a really smart player and absolutely masters the system, which is something else Carson Wentz didn't do throughout the system. Is he did not master this system, did not master the playbook. And you can watch it going back and watching film, just like in the Kurt Warner breakdown. You see it every game. Carson Wentz has no idea where to go with the ball. Sam Ehlinger is someone who probably has this offense completely mastered and knows where to go with the ball in almost any situation. The next guy I would like to talk about, we talked about Carson Strong, talked about Desmond Ridder, is Bailey Zappi. Now, Bailey Zappi, I think, is really underrated. I know he just broke all the NCAA passing records he possibly could in a season, and he destroyed Joe Burrow's records. But he played in an air raid offense, so he knows he's a very seasoned quarterback coming out of this draft, and I think day 2, day 3, anywhere from the 3rd to 5th round is probably where we'll get him. And I know that's a big projection. I'm not great. I won't lie. I'm not great at projecting where players are going to go, but I'm still a little new to that. But Bailey Zappi, dude is so accurate, and his touch passes are so good. This dude throws a go route and a corner route so perfectly almost all the time. He had the one bad throw in the Senior Bowl where he underthrew the receiver for a pick, but then he also had the 2 best throws of the entire Senior Bowl. Whereas Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett really shined in the Senior Bowl. Desmond Ridder did okay, but his receivers were really just wide ass open. And he ran the Jared Goff special, play action boot to the right, dump it to the tight end for 12 yards. It's like, dump it to the tight end in the flats, let the tight end get your yardage. So I wasn't as big of a fan of that, but Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, both of them really stole the day during the Senior Bowl. Carson Strong didn't look good in the Senior Bowl neither. But it's such big news that Carson Wentz is moving on. Free agents we can go after is Mitchell Trubisky is one guy I've wanted on this team. Mitchell Trubisky carried Matt Nagy and Colts. If you remember how bad Chuck Pagano was, he carried him to the playoffs. Imagine that. Like, Mitchell Trubisky carried these 2 awful coaches to the playoffs. I know the roster itself was good, but the offense wasn't stacked. Like, and Mitchell Trubisky was actually not bad. And I imagine just thinking about what Mitchell Trubisky could do in Frank Reich's offense and with the guys we got. And I want to and let's not like sit here and be like, oh, Wentz doesn't have weapons. Zach Pascal is good from the Zach Pascal is very solid from the slot. Michael Pittman Jr. is a rising superstar and is honestly really underrated. And if he had someone not named Carson Wentz throwing to him, he would be top 10 receiver in the league because that's how special Michael Pittman Jr. is. Not to mention the three-headed monster of running backs we had. I know Marlon Mack didn't get a lot of touches this season once JT really took over, but JT, Marlon Mack, Naheem Hines, absolute monstrous backfield. Marlon Mack's probably not going to be back next season unless he takes a really team-friendly deal, though. But all right, thanks for listening. That's it. Peace.